Assalamu alaikum. Today in this lecture we will discuss about user authentication, which is a process which allow a device to verify the identity of someone who connect to a network resource. And there are many technologies currently available to a network administrators to authenticate users. So we will discuss these technologies for authenticating users on the network. So first we will start with the importance of user authentication. It is considered to be one of the fundamental building block and primary line of defense in the network, and if you want to provide access control or user accountability, then the first step towards the access control or user accountability is the user authentication. Now user authentication process can be carried out in two steps: identification step and verification step. Okay, what is the identification step? It is the answer of this question, who are you? Like, I claim to be someone, that is identification. And verification is you verify that I am that person by validating my official ID documents that I am the same one who I claims to be. Okay, if we discuss this identification and verification with respect to using biometric for authentication, then identification we call it 1 to n matching. What happened in identification step, you are taking any individual biometric and compare their biometric to a database of possible identities in order to match them and discover their identity. And like for example, consider the case of like law enforcement or border control, they use often this biometric. Like there is some potential criminal and he gave his fingerprint to the law enforcement agency, and law enforcement agency has a database of the fingerprints of the previous all criminals in their record. So they will compare the new fingerprint and running it against a database to see if it matches against a previously captured print. So if it matches with any one of the previously captured print, then you can identify this person through the fingerprints. So identifying someone with their biometric in this way is very useful in many instances, but if you are using it in enterprise or in any organization where you want to use it for access control, like access control at a bank or hospital, so then we don't need identification, then we need verification. We don't need to identify user, we know who are our users. Okay, if you have a bank or a company, you know who your employees are, their user IDs are well defined. Okay, but now what we are interested in, that whoever access our system resources, we need to verify, is this person the same who it claims to be? So for this we use verification. So verification is the process of asking, are you who you say you are, while the identification is the answer of the question, who are you? Okay, so verification is proving your identity. So it is basically the actual basis of access management and biometric based security. So like identification is 1 to n matching, while verification is 1 to 1 matching. The user come to the system and provide his user identity and password or biometric, and system will go and look in the database for only that particular identity which user provide and match it the provided password or biometric with the password or biometric that is stored in database. If both are same, user has been authenticated, otherwise authentication has failed. So verification is 1 to 1 matching and identification is 1 to n matching. You don't know the identity of the user, You have to find the identity of user by matching its biometric in from the database of the biometric to find out who this user is or who are you. Okay. There are 4 possible ways or methods that are used for authenticating a user identity, and these 4 possible methods are based on something the individual or user knows. Okay, something that you know, based on that you have been authenticated, like password or pin number or answers to pre-arranged question. Okay, second method that can be used for user authentication is something the individual have, something the individual possess, like a token, like you have a smart card or electronic key card or physical key. So based on that you have been authenticated, something you have. Then third is something the individual is, we call it static biometric. Okay, like your physical characteristics, your fingerprint, your face, retina, iris, and all these. And then the fourth one is, that is also related to biometric, but that is not physical characteristic but behavioral characteristic, something the individual does, we call it dynamic biometric, like your voice pattern, your handwriting, your typing rhythm on the keyboard. Okay, so we have static biometric and dynamic biometric. Static biometric, that remains same, your fingerprint will remain same, it will never change. But dynamic pattern or dynamic biometric are those, these are behavioral biometric. It can change, maybe you don't know right now the typing on the keyboard, so your typing rhythm will be different, and after learning the typing your typing rhythm will be different. You can change your handwriting, your voice pattern, so that's why we call it dynamic biometrics. We will start our discussion with the first method of identifying user, or first authentication method, that is something the individual knows, that is password authentication or based on pin authentication. So this is something or a method of authentication that is most widely used, that user need to provide username and password, and then system will compare the password that user provide with the one that is already stored in the database. If both password match, then user has been authenticated. Okay, what is the purpose of user ID here? Why not user only provide password and system authenticates the user? What is the importance of user ID over here? So user ID serve as a purpose of determining that the user is authorized to access the system, plus determine the user privileges. User privileges, like based on user ID you need to decide what is the authorization level of this user. Like user ID, if it belongs to a student, it will have different privilege. If it is a faculty, it will have different privilege. If it is administrator, it will have different privilege. And you cannot rely only on password for authentication, because it is possible that more than two or more user have same password. Then how will you identify who this user is? So user ID is very important. It works for the identification of user, it helps you to determine the user privilege level, and then it is used in discretionary access control. Discretionary access control is that access control mechanism where we provide different access to different user based on their role. Like if role is admin, it will have different access. If role is faculty, different access. If role is student, different access control. So discretionary access control is a mean of restricting access to the user based on the identity of these users, and this identity can be provided by user ID. Okay, what are some of the password vulnerabilities or the vulnerabilities associated with password based authentication method? First one is offline dictionary attack is possible on password. We know that system how save password. System will not save password in the clear. System will take password and store in its database the hash of the password. So and system will keep this password file stored somewhere on the disk or on the network, whatever. Like, you know, it will be something like this: user1, username, and whatever password of Ali, like password of Ali is ABCD1234. So system will do what? System will calculate hash of the password of Ali and store it in its database like this. There is another user like Ahmad, and Ahmad have password XYZWER4, let's suppose. So system will take the hash of the password of Ahmad and store it in password file. So this is how your password file look like. Okay, this is, let's suppose, my password file, and now Ali want to enter into the system. So what Ali has to provide to the system? Ali will has to provide to the system his username and password. So let's suppose Ali provide his username, like, you know, my name is Ali and this is username and password ABCDE1234 or ABCD1234. So this ABCD1234 that Ali provided, system will first take the hash of this password. What happened on the backend? System will first take this password and calculate hash of this password. So system will take the password of the Ali and will generate its hash. Okay, so now system will go, this is the password file that we already have, this is our password file. System will take this Ali, go to the password file and match the user ID with the Ali user ID wherever it match. So here it matches with Ali. So then it will take this hash of the password that Ali provided and match it against the hash that is stored over here in the password file. If the calculated hash is equal to the stored hash value, Ali has been authenticated successfully. So this is how normal authentication process work. Now in offline dictionary attack, attacker has gained access to the password file of the system or a network. Okay, this password file will be on the system or on the network. So attacker somehow gain access to this password file, and now in this password file all the users on the network will have their username and hashes of their password. There will be no password, hashes of the password. So if attacker wants to know the password of some user, he will run this offline dictionary attack. Now in offline dictionary attack, attacker will obtain this system password file and then compare the password hashes against hashes of the commonly used password from the dictionary. You know, we already have a dictionary of possible passwords. So user will take one word from the dictionary, calculate its hash and compare with the hashes that are stored over here in the password file. If any of the hash match with the stored hashes, any of the stored hash, then user can find the password from the dictionary word. So this is called offline dictionary attack. Okay, second type of attack is specific account attack. Okay, what is the specific account attack? Now the attacker do not target on all the users from the password file, but attacker target a specific account and submit password guesses until the correct password is discovered. Like you already know the ID of some user and you want to know his password, so you can apply like first password, second password, third password, fourth password, you try to guess password by providing different password until match occur. So this is called specific account attack. That's why on the system there is always a total number of wrong possible tries are there. If you provide like 5 times wrong password, your account can be blocked for temporarily or permanently. That's to prevent this kind of attack, specific account attack. Okay, popular password attack. Popular password attack is the variation of offline dictionary attack, okay, where dictionary or the database of popular password is being generated and try it against a different range of user IDs. Like, okay, we can say that in popular password attack, you use popular password. Okay, you know that okay, this is one ABCD 1 2 3 4. This is one of the popular password. Okay, so you know that this is popular password, but you don't know which user have this password. Okay, so you use same password and guess different user ID, admin ABC 1 2 3 4, or if you know some other user names in the network, you can try all possible username one by one with the same password. Okay, so it's like variation of the specific account attack. In specific account attack, you know the user ID and you guess password. In popular password attack, you know the password but you don't know user ID and you guess user ID by different tries. Okay, password guessing against single user. So password guessing against single user is where the attacker try to gain information about the account holder and system password policies and uses that knowledge to guess the password. Like you have the information about the account holder that this is the user ID or email of this this user. Okay, so mostly email also work as a user ID, and you also know that in this particular system or the network, this is password policy. What is the password policy? Like password should consist of, let's suppose, 12 character. It should must include one capital letter. It should must include one symbol or a number. So this system password policy, and you also have a knowledge of some specific user ID, and then based on this system password policy, you try to guess the password. So that is password guessing against single user. Workstation hijacking. Workstation hijacking is the attacker wait until a log in workstation is unattended. And you are in the office, you log into your workstation, and then you think that okay, let's go to take a cup of coffee from the kitchen. You left your system logged in and went to take the coffee, and there is somebody who was watching over you over there. He can come to that system and get information from that system. So this is called workstation hijacking. The attacker wait until a logged in workstation is unattended, nobody is there to attend it, so he can get control of it. Exploiting user mistakes. Now if the system assign a password, you are not trusting on user to choose their password, because if we let user to choose their password, they might choose weaker passwords. So what we make a policy that in our network, system will generate a strong password for each user, and user has to use those strong password. So now system assign a password and it is a strong password, but if it is a strong password, at the same time it will be very complicated and would be difficult for user to more likely to memorize it. So this kind of situation create the potential for an attacker to get password, like user cannot memorize this password. So what he did is he write this password somewhere, okay, so or save this password somewhere in some file. So attacker can read that written password by exploiting user mistake. So user may or it is possible, another situation is that you are student over here in SQU and you have a valid username and password for different type of services, and you share your password and username with some of your friend to get access to the system. So then again this is the user mistake. There is nothing wrong in the system is very secure, strong, but users make mistake, and then even if the strongest system cannot prevent these user mistakes. So that is a kind of exploiting user mistakes. Okay, exploiting multiple password use. Okay, like you are using same password to access more than one accounts. So if attacker gain the knowledge of one password, he can use same password to get access to different type of services that you are using same password to access. Like mostly what we do is we use same password to access different accounts or different type of services on the network. So if it is not a good choice, or as a network administrator you assign same password to different devices. So again, if one password is compromised, all those devices will be compromised or all those accounts will be compromised. And the last one is electronic monitoring. If a password is sending on the network to log on to the remote system, and it is possible that if you are sending password in clear, it is vulnerable to eavesdropping. If somebody is running a sniffer on the network, they can get your password, or even if you are sending password encrypted on the network, still somebody can eavesdrop it and try to cryptanalyze it to get the password, or to run this offline dictionary attack on it or guessing attack on it to get the original password. Why? Because the encrypted password is in effect the password and can be observed and even reused by an adversary as well. In the case like you are sending encrypted password on the network, user capture this password, you log off from the system, user log in again to that system with your user ID, and then just replay that encrypted password on the network. That encrypted password will be accepted on the other hand or by the other side of server as a valid password. It is possible. So electronic monitoring is just eavesdropping attack. Okay, what are the possible countermeasures that are there to prevent these password vulnerabilities or password attacks that we discuss here in this slide? So first type of attack is offline dictionary attack. Now offline dictionary attack is possible only if user gain access to the password file. So what is the countermeasure of offline dictionary attack? If you prevent unauthorized access to the password file. Okay, if you do not allow unauthorized users to access your password file, attacker would not be able to get access to the password file and he would not be able to run the offline dictionary attack. What are some other possible countermeasures to offline dictionary attack is intrusion detection measures. You need to install intrusion detection system on your network which look for any abnormal behavior or unauthorized access or try for password file and generate alarm or notify you for any kind of intrusion activity on the network. And rapid reissuance of compromised password, like if you find out that your password file has been stolen, then the first step toward countermeasure of offline dictionary attack is to reissue or ask all the user on the network to change their password. Okay, reissuance of compromised password. If you find out that your password file is no more secure, so first step you should do is to ask your user to change their password immediately. So these are three can be considered as the countermeasure for offline dictionary attack. Then we have specific account attack. Specific account attack is the attack where you are targeting a specific user and try to guess the password, like the user ID and then you try to guess different password. So account lockout mechanism can be considered as the possible countermeasure of it, because it will lock out access to the account after a number of failed login attempt. If you have failed to provide correct password like 3 times 5 times, then after that you are not allowed to access that network, that account, and account will be locked automatically. So account lockout mechanism are the possible countermeasure against specific account attack. Okay, then we have a popular password attack. Popular password attack is where attacker use a popular password and try to guess different user IDs. I try to use it on different user ID. So the countermeasure for popular password attack is you need to include policies to prevent the selection by user of common password. You don't allow your user to use common password or popular password. And then you should also scan the IP addresses of authentication request and client cookies for submission pattern as well. Okay, password guessing against single user attack also can be prevented by these policies to inhibit user or to prevent user from selecting common password. Then we have password guessing against single user attack. For password guessing against single user, the possible countermeasure include training and enforcement of password policies that make it difficult for password to guess. So we need to provide proper password policy where we need to define the minimum length of password, which character set need to be included in the password, and we need to prevent against using well-known user IDs, and also length of time before the password must be changed. We also need to set this in the password policy that this password is valid only for 2 months, 3 months, 5 weeks, 6 weeks, and after that it should be changed. So by training and enforcement of password policies, we can prevent from password guessing against single user. We can prevent the other type of attack, that is exploiting user mistakes. Users because with proper training and by combining simple password with other authentication mechanism, we can prevent such type of attacks. Then workstation hijacking attack, how can we prevent this? By automatic workstation logout, that is your system should automatically log off after a period of inactivity. And then policies against similar password on network devices. This countermeasure is effective against using a same password on or exploiting multiple password use. This attack can be countermeasured by including the policy that forbid the same or similar password on a particular network devices, like you are not allowed to use same password on multiple devices or same password on multiple accounts. Okay, how your password file is stored on the system. This is an example where we describe the method that is used in most of the Unix operating system and some other commonly used operating system. They use this method to hash your password. So the method that is using for hashing the password, a password is provided by user based on the password policy. Okay, if it passed the password policy, okay, this is a good password, system accept it as a valid password, then what will system do? System will generate a salt for this password. What is a salt? Salt is a random number string. Okay, salt is just a random number that is generated by your system for your password. Now this password and this random number string or salt is given as input to a hash function, but not the normal hash function, but slow hash function. For password hashing we use especially slow hash function, but not the normal cryptographic hash function. Normal cryptographic hash functions are computationally very efficient. Computationally very efficient mean that they generate hash of the message in very less amount of time. But when we come to the password hashing, we don't need computationally efficient hash functions. Why? Because if we use computationally efficient hash functions or normal hash functions, then offline dictionary attack would be very easy, or brute force attack would become very easy on password files. So for that purpose we use special slow hash function to generate the hash of the password. So then you provide as input this salt value and password to hash function. Hash function will generate the password hash, and this hash code, we call it hash code. So slow hash function will output the hash code. This hash code will save here in this password file along with user ID, the salt value that you choose against the password, and this hash code, the output of slow hash function. Okay, what happened at the time of user authentication? When a user come to log in to the system, user provide his user ID and password. Okay, user provide user ID and password. The user ID that is provided by user, here we take that user ID and go to the our password file and search here in user ID where this user exists. Okay, let's suppose here the match occur. So this is the user ID that user provide. Then we take the salt value that is stored already here in this database, and we combine this salt value, or we give this salt value as input to slow hash function along with the password that is provided by user. This slow hash function will generate hash code. Okay, hash code will be generated over here, and this hash code is matched against the hash code value that is stored over here. Okay, in this record, if both hash code value are equal or the same, the user has been authenticated successfully. So this is the method that is used by most of the operating system for storing password file on the system. They generate hash in this way. So as I know that for generating a password is first combined with the fixed length salt value. Like if you provide password, let's suppose 8 character. Okay, so salt value that is generated by system again may be 8 character long. So 8 plus 8, 16. It increase the length of your password. Okay, so we give as input to the slow hash function password concatenated with or added with salt value, and then hashed password is then stored together with the plain text copy of salt in the database. In the database we store hash code, salt value and user ID. Okay, what is the purpose of this salt value? Why we provide this salt value? Okay, first advantage of using this salt value is it prevent duplicate passwords from being visible. If we do not use this salt value, and if two users have the same password, they will have same hash code. They will have same hash code, and attacker from password file can come to know that these two user, if hash codes are same, it means they both have same password. So even if one of the password is guessed, the other is automatically compromised or broken. So salt value, because even if two user provide same password, like if user 1 provide this password ABC, user 2 has this password ABC, but salt value for user 1 will be different. Let's suppose 17 UX, and for user 2 it will be, let's suppose, 9A23. Now for user 1 the password will be different, for user 2 the password will be different. The hash code that will be generated based on the same password will be different. Okay, so this is the one purpose of salt value. Other is, it increase the difficulty of offline dictionary attack. How it increase the difficulty of offline dictionary attack? Dictionary is like a database which keeps the all possible passwords record over there. So if attacker want to guess this password like ABC, now password is not just ABC, but it is combined with this salt value also. If salt length is, let's suppose, 128 bit, if salt length is 128 bit, so with one word from dictionary, attacker has to generate 2 raised to the power 128 variants of the salt value to combine with this one word and calculate the hashes of 2 raised to the power 128 values for one word instead of just one hash. If we are not using salt, then attacker just has to create one hash code, but if we are using salt, then based on the length of salt, in difficulty of dictionary attack will also increase tremendously. Even for one word from the dictionary, it has to generate all possible hash values and check it against all possible hash values. So it increases the difficulty of offline dictionary attack, and it is nearly impossible to find out the use of same password on many systems. Yes, if you are using same password to log into different systems, and if it is using salt value, then on each different system it will generate different hash code, and it would be difficult to find out that same password is used on different system. So these are the uses of salt value, why we add salt value. Okay, how originally in Unix system this password hashing is implemented. So as per the original scheme, it was something like this. User need to provide 8 character long password. So these are 8 ASCII characters, and then system convert them to 56 bit, because each ASCII character is 7 bit long, so it will be mapped to 56 bit the user provided password, and then system generate a random salt value which is 12 bit long, and this 12 bit plus 56 bits are combined together and given as input to crypt3 algorithm. Now crypt3 is the slow hash algorithm. What is there in crypt3 algorithm? It is actually a 25 time DES encipherment that occur. So 25 time we apply DES. Okay, as the initial input to the DES algorithm, we give the salt plus password that user provided over here as a key, and 64 bit just zeros, 64 zeros as a plain text block, and then password and salt that user provide, that is given as key to DES, and as a plain text 64 bit 0 block is given as input, and then the output is again input to second time DES with same salt and password, like key remains same, and input block will be the output of the previous DES encipherment block, and so on. So this DES is applied 25 times. to make it, slow encipherment or slow hash algorithm. And then whatever the output after 25 time applying this is considered as the hash code or hash of the password. So that will be stored over here in the password file as a hash code. But now this is not considered to be secure anymore. It is considered to be inadequate, because by increasing the computational power, it is possible to guess 50 million password in about 80 minutes. So in the improved implementation of this Unix password hashing scheme, now we use much strong hash and salt schemes, where recommended hash function is MD5, is based on MD5. Salt is of up to 48 bit. Password length is not limited to 8 character, it is unlimited, and it produces 128 bit hash code. And inside this algorithm, the inner loop have to make it slow 1000 iterations. 1000 times we apply this hash or these functions on the provided password and salt value to make it more secure or slow it. OpenBSD version of Unix uses blowfish block cipher based hash algorithm called bcrypt. Like the original scheme was crypt3, OpenBSD used bcrypt algorithm to calculate the hash code, and it is considered to be most secure version of Unix hash or salt scheme, where it uses the salt value up to 128 bit. Our salt length is 128 bit, and it create 192 bit hash value or hash code. In order to crack the password or guess password, there are two very most commonly used attacks: dictionary attack and rainbow table attack. In dictionary attack, attacker use a large dictionary of possible or common passwords, because mostly people use common words as a password. So attacker already have a large dictionary of these possible password, and then try each password against the password file, because we know that in order to do dictionary attack, attacker need to have access to the password file. So this is the dictionary that he has. He take one word from the dictionary and then create the hash code from this word by using all possible salt value. Like first word is stay, attacker will combine this stay with all salt values like s1, s2 up to sn, all salt values combine with this potential password stay, okay, and then calculate its hash of each of it, and then compare this hash with the hashes that are stored in password file, and wherever this comparison is successful, both are same, then user can find out, like here this word steam and its hash when it compare with the stored hash in the password file, if they both are same, then it means that password is cracked and password is steam. This is called dictionary attack. Then there is another one which is called rainbow table attack. In rainbow table attack, we pre-compute table of hash values for all salt. Like in dictionary attack, on the run time we calculate hash code with different salt value and then compare it with our password file. But in rainbow table attack, this dictionary is not a simple dictionary like this one, but we have a rainbow table that is one way in cipher dictionary. We choose all possible salt values with each word of the dictionary, and already we pre-compute the hashes of each of the password with each possible salt value, and because as a result of it, this rainbow table will be a huge table. So you pre-compute this hash table or rainbow table, and then when you have a access to password file, you are not calculating hash on the runtime, but you are just performing what? Comparison. One hash code from here and compare against the password file, second hash code from here and compare it against the password file, and wherever match occur, that password is going to be compromised, or the password. So the difference between dictionary attack and rainbow table is, in dictionary attack at runtime we calculate the hash code. In rainbow table attack we pre-compute the hash values for all possible salt, and then at runtime we are just performing searching operation. We just search through the password from password file in the rainbow table, and wherever match occur, password is compromised. This password cracking or guessing is only possible if attacker gain access to your password file. So we can prevent this password cracking or guessing if we block attacker to gain access to our password file or encrypted password. How can you do so? First is make available only to privileged user, like only privileged user or authorized user like admins only have access to the password file. And we should create shadow password file, like Linux or Unix operating system, they create shadow password file. What is a shadow password file? It is a separate file where from user ID, like user IDs are kept in the separate file, whereas the hashed passwords are kept in the separate shadow file. What are the possible vulnerabilities or weaknesses that can be exploited to gain access to the password file? One of the possible weakness or vulnerability in the system is the weaknesses in the operating system. Like whatever operating system you are using, you did not update your operating system, or you did not install the patches. So there is some vulnerability in the operating system that can be exploited by the attacker to gain access to the password file. Or accident with permission making it readable, like you store your password file with permission, make it accessible or readable to others. So that is also one kind of vulnerability that can make attacker gain access to the password file. Or user with same password on other systems. So in that case, if the password could be read by anyone on one machine, a machine another location might also be compromised, if user are using same password on other system. Access from backup media. Okay, you have stored your password file, you take backup of your system regularly, and you take the backup of your system, let's suppose in DVDs, and those DVDs you put it on your table or desk. Okay, inside system password file is secure, but these DVDs that are resting on your table, anybody can gain access to these DVDs and can copy the password file. So we need proper physical security as well. If you are taking backup of your password file, you need to properly secure backup copy as well. Or somebody can sniff password in the network traffic, like okay, your password file is properly secure, but your hash codes are when generated, and they are going on the network for authentication purpose, and if somebody is running sniffer, he can record those hash codes of the password and can use it to crack the password. Okay, what are the possible password selection techniques that can prevent these password cracking or guessing attacks? First one is user education. You need to educate your user with proper training and guidelines to give them importance of using hard to guess password. And also you should have a proper password policy, and you should educate your user with this password policy and giving them guidelines so that they can choose strong password. Okay. Other technique that can be used is, instead of letting user to choose their own password, computer generate password. When computer will generate password, then computer can generate strong password. But the problem with computer generated password is that user will have a trouble for memorizing these passwords. So they might write it somewhere, and then, you know, if they write somewhere and somebody can gain access to it, your system is compromised. Third technique for password selection is reactive password checking. Reactive password checking is that you don't generate computer generated password, but you let your user to select their password by themselves by following the proper password policy, and then system should periodically run its own password cracker on the network to find out all the guessable password from the user's password on the network, and then inform those users to change their password. If any password is guessable, you should inform user that your password is not very secure, you need to, you know, change it. That is called reactive password checking. The fourth technique is called proactive password checking. In proactive password checking, users are allowed to choose their own password, but when user enter the password, like first time user is registering with the network, user choose his own password, and system will, at that time when user enter the password, will run against that password the cracking or attacking password attacks. Okay, run the password attack on the user supplied password, and if system find out that this password is weak, then system will not allow the user to choose that password and ask user to choose the different password. So in this way it can avoid guessable password to be chosen by the user, and at the same time we are allowing user to choose the password that they want. But every time when user choose the password, you have to you know, check if the password is allowable or not, as per your you know, password cracker, who will run password guessing attack against that password. And if password is considered to be, you know, weaker, ask user to change it or choose another one. How can we implement proactive password checking? First thing is rule enforcement. As per password policies, you make a password policy and ask user to follow that password policy, and if user chose the password as per the policy, okay, first test is passed. Then second thing that can be added is password cracker. You compile a large dictionary of password that are, you know, so easy to guess password. You already create a dictionary of easy to guess password, and then check against the user supplied password with this dictionary or this database, and if the user supplied password matches with any of the word in the dictionary, then, you know, ask user to not to choose that password. The third one is Bloom filter, where you build a table based on dictionary using hashes, and then check the password provided by user against this table. If password is present in the table, then ask user to change it, because it is might be easy to guess. Okay, we have already discussed the first method of user authentication, that is based on password. Now we will discuss the second method of user authentication, that is based on something individual have, that is token based authentication. You have some smart card or some electronic key to you know, authenticate a user. So we call it token based authentication, where objects that a user possesses for the purpose of user authentication, and these objects are called token. What kind of token user can have? User can have different type of cards, like embossed, magnetic strip card, memory card, or smart cards as a token to authenticate themselves. Okay, if memory cards are used as a token, then these memory cards just store the data, because they do not have a processor to process this data. And for storing this data, they use magnetic strip card, which include internal electronic memory, And such type of cards are used for physical access, like if you are going to some place like in the banks locker rooms and other places, you have a special card can be issued to the employees, only to those employees who are authorized to enter to those rooms. They can gain access through it. These memory card are very common example of it is hotel rooms, where in hotel rooms you are provided with this memory card to enter into the room. The drawback of this type of user authentication is it requires a special reader to read from the memory of the card before allowing access. Loss of token, yeah, if your card has been lost and some unauthorized user gain access to it, he or she can use it for some of their own purposes. And users are not very much satisfied with this holding a token every time to authenticate themselves to access resources. Then the other type of token based authentication is smart card. Smart cards are not only having a memory, but also they have embedded microprocessor on it, so they can process data as well. And how they can look like, they can look like a calculator or a key or small portable object. It has different shapes. Interface on the smart card can be a manual interface, which include a keypad and display for interaction with the user, or it can have a electronic interface communication with the compatible reader or writer. Okay, what kind of authentication protocol that can run on the smart card? We can run on the smart card authentication protocol that can be divided into 3 categories: static, dynamic password generator, and challenge response. In the static authentication protocol, these smart cards are already having stored with a static password which need to be presented every time when you want to authenticate user. Dynamic password generator is like for Bank Oman, they provide you a small device. Every time when you want to do online bankings, it generate a new one time password for you, OTP. That is a dynamic password generator. And then there is a challenge response type of authentication protocol, which is really a very high level of authentication protocol and can be used with smart card, where your smart card is communicating with the reader through like reader send some challenge to the card, and card process this challenge, perform some operation on it, and then generate a response and send to the reader. So that is called challenge response authentication protocol. It has the appearance of credit card, or has an electronic interface, and may use any of the smart token protocol for these smart cards. As we know that these smart card contain a microprocessor on it, which can perform complete processing along with the 3 types of memory, that is ROM, EPROM, and RAM. This is the interface of smart card, where this is its microprocessor, and it contain a CPU with RAM, ROM, and EPROM, along with a specialized crypto coprocessor can be added on it. There are now in the market Java smart cards are available, where they have special crypto coprocessor on it, which are used to execute cryptographic protocols. You are not executing those cryptographic algorithm on CPU, but you can have this hardware implementation, specialized implementation on crypto coprocessor to provide aid to the CPU to run extensive or computationally more intensive these cryptographic algorithms. Okay, last type of authentication is based on biometric. Biometric then further divided into 2 types, physical and behavioral. So first we will discuss physical characteristics like face, fingerprint, iris, retina. that are physical characteristic, and then behavioral like signature and voice is your behavioral characteristic based on which we authenticate user. So biometric authentication is based on pattern recognition. It is technically more complex and expensive when we compare it to the other user authentication method like password and token based. If we look at different type of biometric authentication mechanism with respect to cost and accuracy, you can see that voice have low cost, but it also at the same time it has low cost, but at the same time it has lowest accuracy as well. And we want our system not only be cost effective, but at the same time should be accurate. So if we look at this graph, we can see that iris is having the highest accuracy, but at the same time it is the most expensive biometric authentication method. But there are some that can give you good accuracy like fingerprint gives you a reasonable amount of accuracy along with not very expensive or with a reasonable amount of cost as well. If we are implementing biometric authentication system, we have to go through first the enrollment or registration process. In enrollment or registration process, user provide its biometric along with user ID on the user interface. User provide his name or PIN along with his biometric, let's suppose fingerprint, and biometric sensor read this biometric data and then send this biometric image to the another module called feature extractor. This feature extractor module will perform some mathematical functions on this image like fingerprint of the user, and then generate the biometric template of this user, and this biometric template will be saved in the database along with username or PIN. Okay, and this biometric template is not the image of your fingerprint, it's a it will be some numeric string. It will be in the form of some numbers, this template that will be stored here in the database along with the name. So this is enrollment phase. Enrollment phase is required for either verification or identification. You first need to register or enroll your users. Okay. After registration, then for authentication purpose, we can either go for identification or verification. As I already told you in the start of this presentation, identification is 1-to-n matching and verification is 1-to-1 matching. Okay, what happened in verification? The user, when it comes for verification, provide his name and his biometric data. Biometric sensor read this biometric data, generate whatever the output is given as input to feature extractor, and feature extractor will generate what? Biometric template. Okay, this, and then there is a name also provided by user. This name is search against the database, and from the database it goes to exactly wherever this name match to exactly one record. That is why it is called 1-to-1 matching. Name will be searched through the database, and wherever name match, it will just retrieve that stored template from the database against that name, and this stored template is given as input to feature matcher, and this is matched against the generated template. If feature matcher provide you true, then user has been authenticated. If it is false, user is not authenticated. Unlike password matching, password should match 100%, but in case of biometric there is never 100% matching in feature matcher. There is always some threshold that is calculated, and based on that threshold user is matched. So there is always a chance of false positive or false negative in biometric authentication system. That's why they are not 100% accurate like password or token matching. Okay, in case of identification, it is 1-to-n matching. Now how it is 1-to-n matching? User is not providing name or PIN. okay. This name or pin is not provided over here. Like here name is provided, here name is not there, only user provide his biometric data. Through biometric sensor read it and send it to feature extractor. Feature extractor will generate template over here, and now this template is matched against all these stored template here in the database, okay. There are n templates over here. So the template that is generated over here in this feature matcher, this feature matcher will generate will match it against all these stored n template in the database, and wherever match occur, it get this user ID out of it, and tells us that this user is identified as ABC or XYZ. So that's why we call it 1 to n matching. Verification is 1 to 1 matching. Okay, last topic that we are going to discuss is remote user authentication, and on the network mostly we perform remote user authentication, where user is not physically present at the same location where we perform authentication process, okay. So remote user authentication is the authentication process that is performed over the network or internet, or on a or any communication link. So when we are performing remote user authentication, it means user credentials need to be sent over the network, and when we are sending user credentials over the network, there is always a chance of eavesdropping or sniffing of it. So we need to deal with additional security threats like eavesdropping, capturing a password, or replaying an authentication sequence that has been recorded by the attacker. Remote user authentication protocol generally depend on some form of challenge response protocols to counter these threats of eavesdropping or capturing a password or replay attack. Okay, password based protocol that is used for remote user authentication. As I told you, these are all challenge response protocols. So here we have a client and here we have a host. Okay, client and host are connecting with each other through a network, some transmission, some network that can be internet or some other communication link. Now client or user will send his identity or user ID to the host. Host can be a server, okay. So host once receive this user ID of this client, host will generate a random number. These random numbers sometime also we called it nonce. This is how we write nonce. Host will generate a random number or nonce and send back to the client this random number, and then host also select some hash function h and some other function f, okay, that they are already agreed upon, and send the information of nonce r, that is your random number, the chosen hash function and chosen f function to the client. Client will enter his password on the system, okay, and okay, it received this r from here. Then this is the message that is generated by the client. Client will first calculate the hash of his password, okay, and then concatenate it or combine it with received this r value, that r it received from here. Okay, why we call it r dash? Because client received this message on the network, and it is possible because of noise in the network this r has been changed, okay. So that's why we call it r dash. So client will calculate function f on r and hash of the client password and send this data back to the host. Host already know the all authenticated users username and passwords are already stored on this host in the encrypted form or hash form, you know, password file is already there on this host, okay. Now when host receive this message, host will first perform f function, okay, on his own R and the password of this user. Like this user here in this password file, this is this user and this is this user, hash of the password of this user. Okay, so host already know this user's password hash, so he will calculate, and host because send this random number R, so this host can calculate this value again over here and say, and this value again, hash of the password of the user, host already know R, so concatenate it with R and then calculate function f on it and combine it with and compare it with the received value that it received from here. If both values are same, then user has been authenticated, otherwise not. Okay, in this scenario, when we are authenticating user based on password, it prevent us from different attacks. First of all, host never save the password of this client as a clear password, it always save hashes of the password over there. Okay, so this way password on the host is secure. If password file access is properly implemented, this hash of the password is secure over here on the host. And another thing is, this client never transmit password in the clear on the network. What client is transmitting on the network? Hash of the password. Even hash of the password, an attacker is not able to get h of p from this f until attacker need know how to calculate this f. So attacker will not be able to even get the hash of the user password from the network after sniffing or eavesdropping. So this thing also secure over here. And the third type of attack that is secure over here is replay attack. Even if attacker get this message, okay, after eavesdropping and want to replay this message, okay, attacker recorded all the communication between client and host, and once client log off, attacker replay this message, okay, host will accept this message and send a new R. This R will not be the same. Host, when attacker send this message, replay this message, host will send another random number. I call it random number 1, not R. So, and attacker don't know the password of the client, so he will try to replay this message. When he will try to replay this message, this replay message is calculated on the R that is sending to that was sent to this client who already logged off, not this R1. So when host will match this message with this, because host will calculate f on R1 hash of password of the user, but the attacker only replay this message, so they both will not be same and attacker would not be able to authenticate itself to the host or server. So replay attack is not possible. The use of this nonce or random number in challenge response protocol is that it prevent replay attack, because for each new session of this authentication a new random number is used and random numbers are never reused over there. So whenever we include nonce in an authentication protocol, that is challenge response protocol, it prevent us from replay attack. If we are performing remote user authentication based on token, the first two messages are same like based on password. User first send his ID to the host. Host will select the random number, choose a random number, nonce, hash function and f function, and send this information to the client. Now client don't have a password, client has a token. From the token it generate password that can be a dynamic password or one time password, and this token password generation, whatever mechanism is implemented over here is already synced with host, or host already know that what it will be generated as a password. Okay, whether it is a dynamic, static or OTP. So these both system need to be sync before starting this authentication protocol. Okay, so through the token, client will generate password or passcode, and then will create this message based on this token, and the R value that it received from host, and calculate, you know, F on it and hash on the password or passcode or OTP. Because host is synced with the client and host know this passcode or password, so host can calculate, and host also know R, and host know how to calculate F. So host can calculate this value on its side and compare it with this received value. If both are same, client has been authenticated, okay, otherwise not. Again, token based protocol prevent replay attack because of the use of this random number. Wherever we use this random number or nonce, it prevent us replay attack. If even attacker gain access to this message, he would not be able to gain access to the hash of the password. He will have to break this outer F function first to gain access to this hash. So it is also secure against this kind of attack. Okay, how can we use a static biometric in order to authenticate remotely? Now user send his user ID to the host, and host again generate a random number and also choose one function, we call it E function, and send this information back to the client, where E is the encryption function. Now on the client side, user will provide his biometric data to the biometric device, and this biometric device will generate the biometric template of the user, and the device that is used to generate this biometric template, D dash, is the ID of that biometric device. This biometric device is already registered with the host, so host know all the valid biometric devices that can be used for the authentication purpose. So host is aware of the ID of the biometric devices that are on the network. So D dash is the ID of the biometric device, and R dash is the R that is received from the host. So host will encrypt R dash, that is the random number received from host. Client will encrypt R dash, random number. D dash is the device biometric device ID and biometric template of the user, okay, and send this information to the host. Client and host already share a key for this encryption. We assume that they pre-shared a key with each other. So host know the decryption key, so host perform encryption inverse operation on it, that is decryption. Okay, so encryption decryption cancel each other, and host get back R, D here, not P, sorry, D, and biometric template. Okay, so this thing will be retrieved out of this message, and then what will host do? Host will compare that if the received random number is the same as the random number sent by host, if the device ID that is received from the client is the same as the registered device, okay, and is the biometric template is same as the biometric template of user. This thing will not be exactly same, it depends on a predefined threshold. If received the biometric template is should not exceed a predefined threshold to make it compare like successful comparison. If all three checks are yes, then user has been authenticated, otherwise host is not authenticated. In case of dynamic biometric protocol, the first message is same like for all other. User send user ID to the host, okay, host choose a random number R, and then random sequence challenge X. X is a string that is a random sequence which has to be provided by the host, and the encryption function information. When client receive this information, then the human user at the client end must then either vocalize that string X if we are using speaker verification, or type this random string X in case of keyboard dynamic verification, or write this sequence X if we are doing handwriting verification. And then from this X, whatever method, dynamic biometric method is used for it, either vocalize it or type it or write it, from this X it generate biometric signal. Okay, BS-X is the biometric signal generated from this sequence X. Okay, and then client will create this message, that is random number, and this biometric sequence of X dash is encrypted and sent back to the host. Host will decrypt it and retrieve this information back out of it, and then host will extract the biometric template of this user from this BSX biometric signal, and then host will perform these three comparison. If the received random number is the same that what host sent, okay, R dash is equals to R, and if the biometric signal on which biometric signal on X dash is same like X dash is equals to X, and B dash is equals to the biometric template of that user, like it should exceed a particular threshold, then a user has been authenticated, otherwise not. Okay, here we finish this topic. This is the summary of overall this chapter, whatever we discuss in it. Thank you.